Hello, everybody. Welcome to Championship Bowling here from the University Lanes in Toledo, Ohio, as we continue our All-Star Tournament competition. This is Fred Wolf with, again, two of the world's outstanding bowling stars in match game competition as we now complete or get in well into our second round. It's winner versus winner now. We established a winner between Steve Nagy and Eddie Marin, and we're setting up the match in the third round between Steve Nagy and the winner last week, Ned Day, when he defeated Joe Filio of Toledo. This week on Championship Bowling All-Star Tournament, two more winners. Harry Smith from St. Louis, Dick Hoover from Akron, Ohio. The winner, of course, will move out into the third round. Now let's bring the boys out here, no strangers. They've been through one match. They were both winners. Introducing first from Akron, Ohio, Little Richard, Dick Hoover.
Fine.
Got me in real good shape.
Well, I hope so, anyhow.
You know, we have a rather unusual thing. You won your match with 675, and Harry Smith won his match with 675. So we're going to really start from scratch this week.
That's right. We'll have to roll the tie off.
You have to roll the tie off. Let's bring the little tiger out here from St. Louis, Harry Smith. Harry? All right, my boy.
Hi, Freddie.
You don't mind being called the tiger?
No.
I think they ought to call you Jackrabbit. You're jumping around here all the time. You have our cameramen on their toes, I'll say that. They have to find you sometimes. Now, I'll go over the rules briefly. I know you boys are acquainted with them, but for our television audience, it's $1,000 to the winner, $300 to the loser, an additional $50, $75, and $100 bonus for each of the three games. The idea here is obvious. Win to go into round three. Is that understandable?
Very well.
You can understand that, Harry, and I'm sure that you can too, Dick.
Right,
in addition, of course, to this, we have $10,000 for a perfect score. What's the closest that you've ever come to a perfect score on television, Harry?
I think I had 278.
278. And, Dick, it seems to me I remember in 1959 a 290 game that you rolled on television.
That's right. I was up in Detroit at Eastland Bowl.
Oh, yes, I've heard of that establishment. Well, we're about ready now. There's been a toss of the coin, and who won this toss?
I won it.
You won it. What's your choice?
I'm going to finish on 3.
You will finish on 3. You understand how this works now, Richard?
Right.
All right, you boys will shake hands, and all Toledo is waiting for a big, wonderful series, and here we go. Let's give them a little encouragement. It's Dick Hoover starting the first game, moving to the left side. Smith forcing him to start on the left. Hoover is in too high, leaves the 4-7. So the strategy here could well be that Smith would very much like to be in the position at the end of the third game to finish the match and let Hoover get up to see what he can do if he would need a strike or a spare or a couple of strikes to win. This is the strategy that some of the boys are using. In other words, if they feel they hit either alley well, hit them both well, by winning the toss, they feel that they want to be in the position to finish the first and third game while their opponent still has a frame to go. So Hoover with the spare. Smith steps in on the right side. Both boys shooting 675 in their first match. Smith defeated Joe Joseph of Detroit. Too high. He's wide open. The 6-7. Harry Smith, the Tiger. That's a nickname that Steve Nagy put on this young fella many years ago. Harry had quite an early start. He was only 14 years old when he toured the nation with the veteran Eddie Kep of Cleveland. Harry is a Cleveland product. Spent a couple of years in Detroit, 55, 56, where he won the Michigan State match game title twice. He almost turned it in. Oh, you can't come any closer than that. So Dick Hoover from Akron, Ohio, with an early lead at the end of the first frame. Championship Bowling All-Star Tournament from the beautiful University Lanes in Toledo, Ohio. Harry Smith. This fella will be probably hopping around. He's a very colorful performer. Fingertip ball, wide span, throws. He's there. And boy, he really limed that one down. Harry seems to have a lot of speed this week, as Dick Hoover, of course, will no doubt outspeed him. But the question is, who will outscore to move into round number 3? Hoover throws. He's thin. He doesn't get there. He has nothing but the 2-pin. And if we recall, in Hoover's first match, when he defeated Joe Ostrowski of Philadelphia, he threw practically all strikes on the left side, lane 3. Dick had all his trouble here on the right side, lane 4, and invariably he was just a little short, as he was here in the second frame. The 2-pin is converted. Hoover opened with 245 against Joe Ostrowski and built up a tremendous lead and, of course, was never challenged. Followed with 225 and finished with 205. That's the only game he lost to Ostrowski. Smith was really the perfectionist in consistency. 224, 226, and 225. Hoover in the third. Doesn't get there. There's a very peculiar leave. He has the 2 and the 7. And you won't see that very often. Dick's ball just not doing a thing when it got up there. Actually fell back a bit. And he actually picked the 1-pin to the point he hit it so thin that it went in front of the 2, which is quite unusual. The ball going on through, taking out the 3-6, leaving the 10. Let's watch it. Almost. Very close. So Hoover's open. Smith is open. And Harry now has the advantageous position of being on the strike in the second, and after trailing by 11 pins in the first frame, could actually have a lead of 22 pins in the third frame. So the complexion can change in a hurry. Harry doesn't get there, and he has the 2-5-8. So Smith has not taken advantage of his strike. This match ought to be very even at the end of 3 if Harry can convert this one, and it's not an easy one. Harry was a finalist in the national singles eliminations in 1959 in Buffalo. He finished 6th. Also a finalist in the World's Invitational in 59 in Chicago. He finished 8th. Had a great year. Hurry up. Doesn't get there. He's open. So at the end of 3 frames, we have 1 strike. It's a case, of course, of getting the television jitters to wear off. It just doesn't make much difference how many times you've been through this. There's something about it that puts an awful lot of pressure on a bowler. Smith throws, hurry, gets there, carry. So Harry throwing 2 beautiful strikes on the left side, and that, of course, is where he will finish the first and third game. So it could well be that his choice is preference to the left side. Dick got that one up there. So Dick Hoover finally getting up to the pocket on the right side. Dick, a member of the Brunswick Advisory Staff, the 1956, and he repeated in 1957, American Bowling Congress Masters champion. Born in Roseville, Ohio, here in the Toledo area, back in 1930. He admits to 210 pounds. Hurry up. Gets there. Pin flies right in front of the 5-pin, the king pin. Dick got his start in this great sport as a pin boy, actually, while attending high school. He's only been bowling for about 14 years. When he was 16, he rolled the highest 3 games in ABC sanctioned competition. High for the nation in 1945. He shot an 847 total. That happened in Akron. Smith now moving in on the right, again with a chance for the double. Harry trailing by 10 pins. We reach halfway in the first game. Harry gives that one a turn, and he gets there. Look at that action. Those Brunswick Red Crown Dura King plastic-coated pins really moving for Harry Smith. He has the double. He's working on 2. Hoover is 66 with a spare in the 5th. Smith to the line on 2 throws. He gets there and takes up another one. 3 or 4 pins on the pin deck. And Smith now begins to loosen them up. He's had 2 open frames. He's taken a lead as we go into the 6th frame, and here is Dick Hoover. Hoover sets it up. He's short. Doesn't get there. 2, 4, 5. And Dick keeps looking at either the 2, the 2, 5, or the 2-pin alone. Here on lane 4, as we refer to it, the right side. Dick Hoover, who has rolled 17 perfect scores, 4 of them sanctioned. 2, 4, 5. He covers. So Hoover still looking for his first double. He only has 1 strike through 6 frames. He is 83 spare. Smith potential 96. Working on a triple, has a lead of 13 pins as we go into the 7th frame. That's better. Well, Dick got that one up there like a freight train, and he has another chance now to do something about breaking the ice. The first double is the big one. Once the boys get that one, they're liable to keep right on going, as Smith seems to be doing. He got the double and followed it with another one. Harry moves in on the right side. Harry playing more outside, actually, but he drifts slightly left, as you can notice. Sets it, moves in, he carries. He throws a fingertip ball. He keeps his little finger folded up under the palm of his hand, actually resting on top of the ball. Harry thinks that that's a good point of control. He starts slightly to the right side. Then he drifts. You can notice the drift to the left. And he drifted that ball a little to the left. He was on the nose. He leaves the 6-pin. He gets a break on it. Could have had the 4-6. So Harry actually runs slightly from right to left. Then he sets himself, and his left foot comes down rather sudden. Makes the sudden stop, then has the hop on the end of his approach on his left foot. But most of this happens after the ball is on its way, so actually it doesn't bother him too much. And his record proves that. He's got it. So Smith stopped at 4. He has 145 in the 7th. He has a spare in the 8th as Hoover steps in the 8th, looking for his first double, and he's got to get it. Hoover trailing by 22. That's up there. That's the ball. So Dick barrels one in. Hoover actually has to throw it up and let it set there. Smith has to give it a little room because Harry's ball will keep coming. So we have a contrast in styles. Both boys having mastered their own respective styles, which proves there's no set way to be successful in this game. Get comfortable and work on the best way you can handle the situation. One more. Oh! Let's hope he didn't break any of those Brunswick Red Crown pins. This boy throws about the hardest ball in the business. In 1959, with a spare and 11 in a row, we watched him pour in a 290 on television as Smith moves in on the right side. This match practically even. In and there. There is the art of splashing them around. We're going into the 10th frame, and the boys have pulled out a couple of pretty good games here. The way it looked at the end of 5, we could very possibly have had 2 games under 200. As it looks now, both boys will be over 200. Smith has a chance to shut out his opponent if he can get 2 strikes and 4 and 9 pins. There's the first one. So Harry still potential 225. The best best Hoover can get is 223. So Harry needs this one. This strike and 9 will give him 224. Let's hope he gets it. He's there. He's got it. 4-pin this way. Quite a break. Harry was tight. A smile of satisfaction. He expected that 4-pin, and here's what we have for Harry Smith. In his first match, in the first round, he was victorious over Joe Joseph of Detroit. He had games of 224, 225, and 226. The count here will give him 225. His average is 225, and he gets 224. So that's exactly what he rolled in his first game against Joe Joseph, and he just put the first game away. He shut the door on Dick Hoover, who, if he goes all the way, finishing with 6 in a row, the best Hoover can show us is 223. Too high. And Mr. Smith has himself at least a 20-pin lead. So here again we find the situation whereby the bowler who elects to start on the right side finishes the first and third game, while his opponent must still bowl the 10th frame. Smith going all the way, putting Hoover really on the spot. Dick knew that he needed to stay with Smith. Now, if you can picture the same situation in the 10th frame of the last game, with one man leading by 10 or 15 or possibly 20 pins, he takes his seat. The man trailing has got to get 1 or 2 strikes for 1, 2, 3, or 4, or $10,000. There is pressure involved, and it's a little more difficult at the end of the first game in what could be one terrific match, so don't go away. It's Dick Hoover with 200, Harry Smith with 224. From the University Lanes in Toledo, Ohio, it's Championship Bowling's All-Star Tournament. This is Fred Wolf inviting you to give this message your attention. The scores for the first game: Dick Hoover, 200. That's a little short of his weight. Harry Smith, 224. And that's almost double his weight. Harry? We start you off with $50, and I just wonder if you realize how consistent you are. In your first match, you had 224, 225, and 226. This week, you start off with 224. You're in a rut, my boy.
Nice rut.
Nice rut. You like that. Harry, I feel that 224 this game is not going to be enough.
Well, you never know. I hope I get that much or more.
You hope you get that much. Mr. Hoover tells me he's going to throw a big one at you, so you better pay attention. So we're ready for game number 2. Let's give both boys a little encouragement. So Harry Smith moving in on the left side, averaging actually 225 for 4 games. Smith defeated Joe Joseph in the first round. He throws. Look at that action. So Harry Smith, the Tiger, the jumping jack, just tears those pins from label to red crown as Hoover moves in on the right side, trailing by 24 pins. He's got it up there. 10 pin. Didn't quite get enough of that pocket. Dick has had a tendency of not giving the ball enough lift here on the right side. He is short quite often, although he did get a good piece of that pocket. Very likable fellow, quiet, unassuming. Loves to play golf. 10 pin, he hasn't. Dick will admit to shooting golf in the high 80s, but he's certainly accomplished perfection in both sports, golf and bowling. He's also had a hole-in-one. That happened in 1956. A few years ago, when activity in the summer was not too much in bowling, Dick used to move 100-pound bags of cement all summer. Like that. Hoover with 20 strike, Smith with a lead of 24 pins, and Harry can add to that with a double. Here he comes. He's there. He's got it. And Smith may move out of the 220 bracket this game. It's very possible that we could see a big one. In his first match, Harry won all 3 games, so actually he has won 4 games in a row. He defeated Joseph by 1 pin in his second game, 226 to 225. He winds it up. Too high, 4-7. Boy, he gave that one a lift. Looked like he might even be in there for a mixer, and by the time that ball got through working, he was too high. So it's a break for Hoover. And here's a fella who weighs 150 pounds who occasionally makes it look like he throws that ball just as hard as Dick Hoover does. But Harry playing very deep. Hoover playing more to the outside. Nice conversion. So Harry got his double in a hurry, but he stopped at 2. Had a 4-bagger in the first game, finished with 3 as Hoover will try to get his double a little earlier this game. He waited until the 8th frame in the first game. He's got it up there. Too high, 6 pin. Dick started shaking his head before that ball had gone 3 feet. We were talking about 300 scores in the 1955-56 season. Over a period of 13 days, Dick Hoover rolled 4 perfect scores. Got it. And 2 of those, by the way, were sanctioned. Dick was the 1950 National Individual Match Game champion. He defeated Lee Juglard in the 100th game. The last game of a very grueling competition. Been a great star ever since. There it is. So we point out, as we recall, in his previous match, Hoover did shoot .675 when he defeated Joe Ostrowski of Philadelphia. He threw 1,000,000 strikes on the left side, had all of his trouble on the right, and that seems to be prevalent here again this week. Smith seems to hit both alleys as well. There he is. He got that. Well, the 6-pin just reached up there and took a piece of it. Of course, Harry, actually a Cleveland boy. We're in Toledo, Ohio, and one of his old friends and relatives in the audience, Uncle Ken. Harry performing for his uncle. We're in the 5th. Hurry. Look at that. Look at that. As Smith just upset the pins. He had the bucket up there, the 2, 4, 5, and the 8, and they all seemed to become top-heavy for a moment and decide that, well, no use staying around here any longer. We're going to give this boy a double. So Smith is double, spared double, and Hoover has got to get this one to stay with him. He's there. 4-pin. Too tight. So Harry Smith extending his tremendous record, well on his way to winning his 5th consecutive game. He won 3 from Joe Joseph. He's tucked away the first one here. Championship Bowling All-Star Tournament from Toledo, Ohio, at the beautiful University Lanes, home of the University Lanes Singles Tournament. At the end of 5, it's Hoover, 20, 40, 60, 80 on a spare. Smith is 68 on 2. Right back in there. So Hoover having no trouble on the left side. Smith hitting both alleys with tremendous consistency, and Harry will admit that he has actually no favorite. Having won the toss, his strategy was to finish before Hoover did and let Hoover worry about getting what he needed. Look out, on the nose, and Harry breaks it up. Smith got a break. He slowed that one down. Tendency here to relax. You get a few pins ahead, you feel, well, just let it go. I'm not going to work too hard. And that's about the time when your opponent starts to string them out and you become panicky, and before you know it, he's long gone, and you pick up the loser's share. And Smith was a victim of that, if we can remember correctly, in Louisville, Kentucky on another series. He's got it. Harry Smith was leading young Stan Gifford from Chicago by some 56 pins with only 4 frames to go. It seemed an impossibility. But Gifford went all the way. Smith had 2 open frames, and Gifford beat him by 2 pins. I don't think Harry has ever forgotten it. We're in the 7th. Smith has 17 pins on his opponent. Throws. He's there. He's got it. So Smith now with a big strike in the 7th is 137 on a strike as Dick Hoover steps up in the 7th working on a strike. Hoover needs that strike. He is too high. So lane 4, right side. the bugaboo here for Dick Hoover. Can't seem to get that ball where he wants it. He's either short or he is too high, and boy, he went right through that one. Had a pretty good hit here in the fifth. He was a little high with a 4-pin. He was on the strike, 3-6-10 he had. So Hoover has yet to master the right side. He has all strikes on the left, and of course one strike just isn't any good in this type of competition. You've got to put them together. So Hoover moving now to Lane 3. We're at University Lanes, Toledo, Ohio. Championship Bowling's All-Star Tournament. Some $60,000 in prizes. And Mr. Hoover is going out after some of that loot. Boy, how he hits that left side. So here is Harry Smith with a lead of 17 pins here in the second game. And Harry, who is a stickler, has decided that those Brunswick Dura-King plastic-coated pins are not sitting exactly where he likes them. It's his privilege, of course, to get a reset. And it's just a matter of pushing a button. And the Brunswick automatic pin setter, if it could talk, would say, "All right, Harry, come and get us." And that's what he's going to try to do. He's not going to do it. He's not going to get many of them. He got 9 out of it. He threw that one out the window. So Harry could have outmaneuvered himself there. It's a break for Hoover. 2 strikes by Smith here in the 8th and 9th could have given this fella a very comfortable margin. As of now, he's got to pay attention. And he needed that strike, by the way, for a 220 game. He's got the 2-pin. So Smith, who has rolled 3 games, he rolled 3 games when he defeated Joe Joseph, games of 224, 226, and 225 for a 675 total in his first round match, has started this, his second round match, with a 224 against Dick Hoover, who also had a 675, in winning his match in the first round against Joe Ostrowski of Philadelphia. So Smith needs a double here in the 9th and 10th, 9th or 10th. Look out. And that oh, what a break he got. What a break he got. He had the 6-7 up there, and from nowhere came a pin. Bottom end first. And it just wrapped that 7-pin and kicked it away. So Smith can still give us a 226 game if he can double in the 10th. And he's just liable to do it. The 6-pin he has, and he's very content with that, as Dick Hoover now must get this strike as he moves to the right side, where he has yet to show us anything short of a spare. In fact, he only had 1 strike on this alley in the whole match. There's the bucket, 2, 4, 5, 8. So Dick has 2 places. He's either too high or just short. Now, he has never missed a head pin, but he's just a little bit short of enough of that pocket to get any action. Here's a tough shot. Watch it. He got away with it. He got away with it. Both boys very fortunate here, actually. In the 9th frame, Smith could have been wide open. Hoover had to really overpower those 4 pins to get that spare. So we go into the 10th frame, and we have Dick Hoover stepping up on the left with a chance for a Dutch 200. A very unusual feat these days. He's there, and you're liable to see one. Hoover now, of course, would rather have the double. He's not interested in a Dutch 200 right now. But let's see what he gets. He's not going to fool around with a Dutch 200. So here is a situation where a bowler can turn in 210 with 1 double, and that's hard to believe. He has all strikes on the left side, a total of 7 strikes on lane 3, no strikes on lane 4. He's got 6. He's got to get to 7. 210 with one double. And there it is. How do you like that? Well, certainly a rarity in this game when a bowler can throw 7 strikes on one side with no strikes on the opposite side and get 210. Hard to believe. Here's Smith, and he's too high, and Harry's run of 220 games is broken. Smith needs this spare to win his 5th consecutive game. Harry's been high now. He's been crowding 2 in a row right on the nose. In fact, he had 1 on the nose in the 6th. He was short in the 8th. He was high in the 10th. Here on the right side as both boys begin to fight. Lane, look out. He's got it. Harry, with his right foot wheeling around in back of him, kicked the ball return. Looked like he might have been off stride, but he converted the spare to make it 5 in a row. He won 3 from Joe Joseph in his first match. He has won the first 2 against Dick Hoover of Akron, Ohio. 24, he'll have about 29 pins to carry him through the 3rd game, and of course a win will move him into the 3rd round. He got up there, but still didn't get enough. With a 1-3 pocket, he leaves the 5 pin. So at the end of the 2nd game, we find Dick Hoover with 210, Harry Smith with 214. The big game to follow, game number 3, and of course the winner will move into the 3rd round. Fred Wolf here in Toledo, Ohio, with Championship Bowling's All-Star Tournament. We'll be back for the big game after this big word from our friends, your hosts. The scores for the 2nd game, Dick Hoover improving with 210, but it wasn't enough. Harry Smith had 214. Harry, come on out, boy. Another $75, Harry. You got quite a string going. That's 5 games in a row you've won. You realize that?
I got to get the ball out of the bag this game.
Got to get the ball out of the bag. Your average is slipping a bit, too. You're down to 222, and we broke up that string of 220 games. Don't you feel sorry?
I got to get that Brunswick ball rolling.
The only way you can do now, Harry, is come back with a 230, get your average back up into the 220s,
Okay,
225s.
Freddie.
We're ready for game number 3, folks. Let's give both boys a little encouragement for the big one. Well, it's do or die for Dick Hoover. He trails at the end of 2. The margin, 28 pins. 1 game to go. $1,000 hanging in the balance, and Hoover did not get his 4th strike in a row. Actually, his 8th in a row on the left side. In the 2nd game, he had all strikes on lane 3 here at the University Lanes in Toledo, Ohio, on Championship Bowling's All-Star Tournament. In checking back, he actually had 2 strikes in a row on this side to finish up the 1st game. So Dick had 9 in a row. Now we'll see what Dick can do when he moves to the right when he's on a spare. He'll probably get the strike. So Harry Smith has 10 frames to hold on to 28 pins to move him into the 3rd round. Harry throws. Look out. Little high. 4 pin. Just a bit tight. Harry Smith, who in 1959, just to give you an idea that this fellow can go the route, the long route, he won the Max Kossoff Endurance Classic. He averaged 220, set an all-time record for 40 games. And in this event, you don't stop. You bowl 40 games with no rest. 220 average. He's got it. Harry was 5th in the 1959 ABC Masters Tournament in St. Louis. He averaged 213 for 36 games, has rolled 29 perfect scores, rolled his first 300 when he was only 16 years old in Willoughby, Ohio. So you have 2 fellas here who got an early start, were great stars when they were teenagers. High again, and Harry has the faculty of breaking up that split. Boy, he has been on the nose a half a dozen times, and he seems to come out with a 6 pin. He did have a 6-7 split in the first frame. He hit the nose in the 8th frame of the first game, left to 6-pin. Same hit in the 6th, in the 9th, and in the 10th of the second game. Breaking up the 4-6, leaving nothing but the 6. He's got it. So Hoover now moves in on the right side after 9 strikes in a row on the left. He's going to see what he can do about getting a strike over here. Now, the lane is the same length. The pins are the same weight. He's throwing the same Brunswick bowling ball, and he'll probably get it. He does. Well, it's the old story when you are fighting even a slight condition, that is, you feel the alley's a little more difficult for you, and when you're always going to that alley on the strike, it is so much more difficult, and Hoover has proved that. So now Dick goes back to his easy side on the strike, and it may become a little difficult. It does. He's wide open. So there you are. That's what makes this game so darn interesting. This is ABC tournament competition. That means that all competition must be bowled cross lanes. Tournament sanctioned Brunswick Duro-King plastic-coated tournament pins. These lanes have been resurfaced. Real tournament conditions. Not the easiest conditions. They make it difficult for the boys. Make them work almost out of the pit. So Hoover is open in the 3rd. He cannot afford open frames. If Smith fills this one, he'll have himself about 40 pins to work on with 7 frames to go. And, of course, very well, can win his 6th consecutive game. That's the ball. And Harry, very happy with the situation as he begins to probably say, boy, it's about time. He has made quite a few mistakes. He hasn't had a strike since the 7th frame, 8th, 9th, 10th. 2 frames in this game. Finally gets the strike. This will give him 20 more pins. He winds it up. 10 pin. Well, Harry gave it enough room, but he got a little too much of the pocket for that mixing hit of his. He didn't get enough of it for the solid hit. So we wind up the 4th frame for Harry Smith in the 3rd game, the big one, $1,000 hanging in the balance. And, of course, as a winner, moving into the 3rd round, the winner here will meet the winner of the Don Ellis-Eddie Kowalik match next week. 10 pin he converts. And, of course, as we move into the 4th round, the semifinals, then the finals, the stakes begin to look more attractive. $10,000 to the winner, $5,000 to the runner-up. In addition to what they pick up along the way, Harry watches Dick Hoover shake his head. He's short again on the right, leaving the 2-4-5. Dick takes 4 steps. You'll notice him look down at the approach, as most of the boys do. Practically puts his toe on the 12-foot line. Look out. Oh, he almost went over the foul line. So at the end of 4, it's Hoover, 48 spare. Smith, 59 spare. Harry has 39 pins. And he's got them tucked away with 6 frames to go. Hoover leaves the 10. And time is running out. Dick was the 1959 Ohio match game champion. Dick, even though he lived in Akron most of his career, was competing in the Cleveland All-Star Classic. Commuting has averaged as much as .227 for one season in league competition. But the 10 pin fills it up. So Hoover actually has only had 1 triple. He did have a double in the 10th frame of the second game, so we'll have to give him a double there. But actually, crossing alleys, he has only put together 2 strikes on the 2 lanes once. Smith gets away with another one. He has the 4-8, very unusual leave. He had the bucket, took out the 2-5, but he ends up with practically the identical shot. He has the same problem of that ball jumping and picking the 4 out from in front of the 8. He'll try to cover. Hit both pins with the ball. That's what he's going to do. Nice shot. So at the end of 5, here in game number 3, it's Hoover 67 spare. Smith is 77 spare. Harry will take it into the second half of game number 3, working on a comfortable margin of 38 pins. No mistakes. He's there. 8 pin, 8 pin, 8 pin, 8 pin, and the wobble and the wiggle, and the Brunswick automatic pin setter will come down, pick it up, put it right back where it was, even off spot, and put the wiggle right back on it. One of the mechanical wonders of this day and age, the Brunswick automatic pin setter. Almost the 8-10, really. So Smith has been getting away. He dropped that one, and he converted the spare. He can do no wrong. So Hoover now, with his back to the wall, stepping in on the right side, lane 4. And Dick will probably be thinking of this lane for a long time. He just can't master it. High again, 6 pin. Little Richard, who thrilled a capacity crowd here in Toledo, Ohio, a few weeks back when he turned in a 675 total, defeating Joe Ostrowski, has the spare. And this, of course, is not the same Dick Hoover. And the scores indicate that, although he is 200 and 210, there's nothing wrong with that. But actually, it has been the right side, lane 4, that has kept this fella from staying with his opponent. He has only had one double, actually, where he threw a strike on each lane. Here he comes. 10 pins out of there. Dick's got to work for every pin. Smith has a 28-pin lead. Harry would need 198 to win this. And he hasn't got 198 yet. That'll help him. The lead is 10 pins here in game number 3. $100 bonus to the winner of this game. Smith trying to extend his string to 6 straight wins. Winning 6 games, defeating 2 pretty tough opponents in Joe Joseph. 8-10, 8-10, up jumped the devil. Oh, things are beginning to look like Mr. Hoover might still put on the Frank Merriwell finish here and pull this one out. How about this? The 8-10. Well, we've seen 2 of those. This is the 3rd one, all on the same lane. Remember Buzz Fazio a few weeks ago. Little George Howard of Detroit. Almost cost him his match. And Smith will give it a try, trying to rattle it around in the pit. He doesn't do it. Now we have the situation where Mr. Hoover might not even have to strike all the way out, but he'll definitely need this one. Smith needs 198 to cinch it, and to get 198, he needs 3 strikes in a row, but Hoover needs this one. He is up there, and he doesn't carry the 5 pin, and Dick just cannot master the right side. It's a break for Harry Smith. So Harry, who started with 224, dropped to 214, will have to go all the way for his 6th consecutive 200 game. And this game will be practically even with this conversion. Dick has it. So we go into the 9th frame. And Hoover still trailing by 28 pins with 2 frames to go. Now, if Dick can get this strike, which will give him a crack at 206, it means that Smith will be able to step up here and finish his part of the match and let Mr. Hoover shoot at it. And that's part of the strategy. Get it up there. He's got it. Oh, if Hoover could have caught the one on the right side and have gone into that 10th on that triple, this match would be quite even. So it's 146 for Hoover with a strike in the 9th. Still thinking of 206. Harry Smith needs at least 1 mark here. Hurry. 10 pin. Actually, Smith has got to mark in the 9th and 10th frames. 2 spares, a 180 game. If it's a good count, he can lock this thing up, and he kicked that rack and got that 10-pin going away. Now, Harry Smith needs a good count and a spare to shut Hoover out. An open frame here will leave the door open for Little Richard, and he may knock and take this one away from Harry Smith. So Hoover is thinking of one thing. Open the door for Richard as Smith moves in on the right side. He needs a mark, a 180 game. Here he comes. He doesn't get it. He's got the 2-4-5 up there, and that'll keep anybody busy. So Hoover with 206. Harry Smith with a very difficult spare looking at him. And if something should happen here and he closes with 170, Hoover will need 2 strikes to win. Smith at the 2-4-5 makes it going away on the left side, and Harry looks like now he could have this one wrapped up. A 9-pin count will give him 180. He hasn't won this thing yet. A 7-pin count will put him in trouble. 7 pins will give him 178. And Hoover trails by 28. If he goes all the way, he'll have 206, and we'll have a tie match. So Smith needs 8 pins. He's got 9. Just enough. Well, in what looked like to be a cinch for Mr. Smith, Harry really had to stumble home, converting the 2-4-5 on the outside for 618. If Hoover goes all the way, he'll never do it. He just can't seem to do a thing on the right side. But had Hoover had the room, Dick knew that he didn't have a chance to win. He has won the third. He has not won the 3rd game. Actually, he's got to make this to win the 3rd game, and Harry Smith is not only going to win the match, but he's going to win all 3 games unless Hoover makes this. That was a $100 ball for Dick. He's got the 2, he's got the 10, he throws, he goes by both of them, and Harry Smith has won all 3 games. Smith, the winner, 180. Dick Hoover, 172. We'll have a word or two with these 2 great champions, and of course a word on next week's match here on Championship Bowling's All-Star Tournament from the University Lanes in Toledo, Ohio. This is Fred Wolf. We hope this message is interesting to you. Before the final results, we have with us again the world's great bowling professor with Championship Bowling's Tip of the Week, and here is the professor, Joe Willman. Joe, how are you?
Fine, Freddie.
What are we learning this week?
I'm going to talk about what the bowling ball does after it leaves your hand.
That I'd like to know.
All right, sir. Do you actually know what that bowling ball does after it leaves your hand? 3 things. First, it skids. Then it rolls. And finally, it takes into the pins. For a normal delivery, the ball is going to skid about 15 feet. Then it's going to roll about 25 feet. And finally, that last 20 feet, it takes your wrist or finger action into the pins. If you throw it too fast, it's going to skid twice as much and have no room to take at the end. That's why your fastball bowlers very seldom throw a big break on the ball. If you throw it too slow, the ball starts rolling right from your hand with no skid action, and then it's got too much room to take. That's why a lot of times you see a ball start to hook and then fade away. I'll be back next week with another bowling tip, and here's Freddie Wolf again.
Thank you, Joe.
It's a pleasure.
Very well put. Now, the final results in the last game, it was Harry Smith with 180 against Dick Hoover's 172. And they total up Hoover 582. The winner, Harry Smith, 618. Dick, the runner-up. Come on out here, boy. Well, I have no game money for you, Richard. You lost all 3 games. You're very kind the last game, I think. There's the loser's share, $300. How do you account for your inability to do something here on the right side?
Well, it's like they say, Freddie, sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. And this was a day that we just couldn't.
You just couldn't. You didn't. You had all strikes on the left side in the second game. That's very odd, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and all it would have taken would have been one on number 4 here, and I'd have been in good shape. But like I say, sometimes you can't do it.
Sometimes you can't do it. Dick, I know you're going to do it many times between now and the end of your career, and I'm going to wish you a lot of luck. Dick Hoover, ladies and gentlemen, of Akron, Ohio.
Thank you, Freddie.
Well, here comes the magician. He's won 6 games in a row. His winnings are up to $2,450, and you're going to see him again as he moves into the 3rd round. Harry Smith of St. Louis. Okay. There's another 100. There's another 1,000. Tuck it away. I know you'll be back in a few weeks. If you can't handle it, we'll put it away for you. You in a hurry?
I'm in a little hurry.
You're in a little
Freddie.
hurry. Goodbye. I'll see you in a few weeks. Well, Harry, of course, will be back as we take a look now at Championship Bowling's All-Star Tournament as we establish another winner to move into the 3rd round. Next week, from Chicago, 2 Chicago boys, Don Ellis and Eddie Kowalik. The winner, of course, of this match will move into the 3rd round and will eventually meet Harry Smith, who has now won 6 games in a row and is averaging around 220, so he'll be very difficult. Until next week, here at the University Lanes, Fred Wolf inviting you to join us on Championship Bowling and just saying good bowling to everybody. See you.